Welcome to this week's episode of the Chaps podcast, a Marvel Snap conversation show between myself, Gathron, an off-meta casual, and coming at you from across the multiverse, the man who's here to personally welcome you to capitalism. It's Hoagies!
Welcome to capitalism, everybody.
That's right. I don't know if you are, you believe whole hog in capitalism, but I think you just accept that that's the world we live in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know how political we want to get. I consider myself a socialist, but but it's like I feel like you need some capitalism in there for socialism to work,
Okay.
right?
Some like incentive structures. Okay. Well, that's
Yeah, it's like if it was like if it's like a Marvel Snap deck, there would be like maybe like um maybe like six socialist cards, four capitalist cards, and two communist cards in my deck.
so you like socialism with like daily missions. You just need little bumps to encourage everyone to be productive, that type of thing. But
Yeah,
that's
right. Yeah, some daily missions. Some daily missions, but then like some free, like plenty of like freebies too.
Yeah, okay. So maybe we'll save that. We'll do like a socioeconomic analysis of the experience of Marvel Snap, and it coming soon to an episode near you. So great to see you, Hoagies, as always. And thanks to our audience for joining us for another episode. Today, we're going to look back at our past week within the Snapverse, the seasons change, kind of little wrap up on that. And it's mid-November now. The season's changing outside, so perfect time for a season change within Snap. We're going to talk collection updates as we always do. Our special topic is talking about different player types / personas, which I think are kind of cross-platform. They apply, or different styles of why people play the way they do, or why people play games or enjoy the games that they play. And then we're going to do a little Miss Marvel deck, to honor the start of the season. So Hoagies, why don't you start us off this time? I think last time I went on a "I'm very worried" rant. Just tell us kind of what your past week in the game has been like as the season has changed. I liked not to throw it to you and then talk, but I liked that they had the kind of season wrap up, right? And they showed you how many cards you got, how many variants you got, that kind of stuff like that. So, how's your past week been in Snap?
Well, good, good. I mean, similar to every start of the season. I always buy the season pass. I get really excited about playing my first 10 games and just getting all the rewards from the ranked ladder, um, and then the climb. And last season, I had said like I was kind of frustrated during the climb, but I just wanted to get it done. It was kind of a slog, and then I feel like I grew a little bit last season and played a little more casually and had a little more fun with the game. And that was kind of what I was trying to do this season when I climbed. And I feel like I hit infinite in about the same time as I did last season, but I had more fun doing it. And played some a more bigger variety of decks on my climb. So I was doing a lot of Loki Wolf. I did both like the KM Best version and the Lambie version, and I climbed a good amount with those. I think those are probably the best decks in the game. And then I was just doing some of my the discard deck that I've been playing for a while. Also the destroy deck that I think we talked about last week. And then I finished the climb with a Ms. Marvel deck that we're going to talk about today. So yeah, had a lot of fun. I'm enjoying Ms. Marvel. Um, Still, I think she's pretty good. I think she's good, but I'll talk more about that when we get to the deck.
That was my big question for you: was had you already reached level 100, level 100 or infinite? I've never gotten there. What do they call it?
Yeah. I guess it's. I mean, either one.
Okay,
It's level
both
100
work.
and it's infinite.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my big question for you because as I was worried that I was becoming less of a casual, you were also worried that you're becoming more casual.
Oh,
And so I was wondering, did you know? It's only been literally like a week or less than a week, isn't it? Or since the season started, and so yeah, for you to already reach infinite, I mean, I guess you start from a higher level than I did because I was bumped down I think into the 60s, having having topped out at 88. So I guess to recap my past week, after we did our pod last time, you shared a couple good decks with me to try to make the push. I really and also after you shared the snapping strategies, I tried to incorporate what you were saying and kind of take my play to the next level in terms of when I was snapping, when I was retreating, when I was sticking in or trying to evaluate how I was doing in the round. Anyways, it was still up and down. And then I think with like 2 hours to go in the season, I had a break from work and I was like, all right, I'm gonna make my run right now. And so I started just snapping on the first turn. No matter like I had the deck, I settled on, actually I couldn't quite master the wolf Loki Elsa deck. So I ended up taking the wolf out and I just settled on like this Elsa Loki Quinjet Nico Falcon variation, and I was doing pretty well. And I was just snapping on the first turn immediately because I had a lot of confidence in that deck. But the highest I got was 88, and it's like if people agree to snap back on you, I think everyone is trying to make the push at the same time. So people were more than happy to do so, and I won a few eights, I won a few fours, and then you lose an eight, and then you're kind of like back to the drawing board. And so I was not able to achieve my goal of 90 last season, and that's okay. But I think that since then, my play this week, I've really started to, when I'm laddering, just be more, I guess, um, conscious of what they're doing snap wise, what I'm doing snap wise, and I think the big evolution is being happy with two. Like you just have to. Sometimes you just take the win, and you're happy with two. You don't have to snap because you're going to scare them off. So if I know I'm going to win, I'm happy taking that two and kind of walking away, and I'm happy. And anytime someone snaps and I just don't have a hand, I just depart. So hopefully this kind of like incremental climb, I think will hopefully push me up to where I want to be. I think I'm at like 74 at the moment. Haven't gotten to 80 yet.
I noticed that a lot on my climb. That it was a lot of two cube wins, and it's just persistence. And I was like trying to be patient, and I think that was one thing last season. I got pretty impatient and just wanted it to go faster, and then I get frustrated if I lost. And then this time I was like, you know what? I can tell that I'm just slowly moving up. It's okay to just get two cubes at a time, and then if I lose four cubes, if I lose eight cubes, I'm still going up the ladder. Don't worry as much about it. And seemed like it helped my state of mind at least. Um, so 88 is that's the highest you've ever climbed, right?
That is.
So that's an achievement.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think I think we haven't in our agenda today. We don't have our season goals. I don't think we necessarily need to do that every single season. But I would say, I guess since this is the first season, the first part of the season, I think 90 is a good one. And maybe
Yeah,
try an infinite run. I ended up having a couple infinite tickets, but ran out of time on those because I was focusing on the ladder.
yeah, and then, the level 90 on ladder is more valuable than winning an infinite run, right? Because you get 500 gold at 90.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so okay, so in my climb, I I was noticing more bots than I did last season on the climb,
Oh,
and
always happy to see bots, right?
yeah, right. yeah, and I was like trying to like figure out like how to identify them more too, like because so one thing I've noticed a lot like forever since forever is that bots really like often play Okoye and Nakia for some reason. And it's like they stand out a lot too because like no one plays Okoye or Nakia. So if you see Okoye or Nakia, you're like, okay, that's probably a bot. And then the other thing is like they just make, when you see like dumb plays, it's like any if anyone ever plays Swarm on two, you're like, why like what who would play Swarm on two? It's like you want to keep Swarm in your hand to discard it. So like if you see someone play Swarm on two or see them play like Carnage into an empty lane on two or something like that, uh, like it's another clue that it's a bot. But then my strategy is like pretty much always snap if it's a bot because it's like they're gonna like make dumb decisions and you want to get them like you want to try to get like a bot into a position where like it thinks that it's winning, so it's gonna snap back at you, and just like that was just like a big part of my climb was like it's just trying to like I was doing those like 2.2 cube games and then like really trying to exploit bots for like big cubes.
You're just waiting, like, come on, bots, come on out. You're like a hunter in a blind, just kind of. Okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear you are now able to focus on your one true love, Conquest. Um, so you got Ms. Marvel because you did the season pass as I did as well, and I also the OTA was interesting this past time.
Oh yeah,
The OTA, you know, they restored Mobius. I think they heard the outrage, right? I guess they're responsive. And this is a direct quote I just pulled off the website. They said, "It takes a grown person to admit they made a mistake." That was one of the lines from the OTA. I wonder, so does that mean that there was one person who decided to like nerf Mobius and they were like, okay, backlash was too heavy. I made a mistake, or do you think that this is like a group decision that they're just kind of they're making a statement like we're grown people, we can make a mistake.
well yeah. So I read all the notes, um,
All of them.
and yeah, it was pretty interesting. But I have to say, like, I always want to. I try really hard in life in general to just take people at their word and not read too much into what they're saying, not like accuse people of lying, you know. So that's what I really want to do with these patch notes. Um, but I don't know. Sometimes it's hard
Why do you
to
say
just
that?
trust
Are
everything
you
that they
like
say.
are your antennas tingling or something?
Well, yeah, because like in the notes, like they were. I mean, I guess like what people were really frustrated with was that like they said that that they intentionally created Mobius for a short term like shift in the meta. They wanted to like take away those cost reduction cards. Short term, right? Or temporary. I think they use the word temporary. Um and then that so and they they knew that he would likely need to have an adjustment. Um and then like uh
And
so
then
then so
and
then this
then
adjustment
the
comes.
adjustment was neutering.
Right, yeah. So then that like completely destroyed him, which I really don't like when they do that. I know I was kind of defending that decision last week, but I really don't like when they completely like destroy a card. It's like he was unplayable after that. Um so like that's just always like disappointing. Um but then they like revert it so fast and then like in the notes they claimed that like they kind of like they really backpedaled on that statement uh about wanting to create this like temporary meta shift and they like were like in the notes they said like that was like a poorly worded statement and that wasn't what we meant to say. And I don't know, it's just hard to like trust that they that um that they really didn't mean to say that. They're taking back this nerf. Um,
I mean, I think yeah, they kind of. It seems like it kind of bit them in the ass a little bit, and I mean, maybe rightly so. I mean, kind of doing that much of a handicapping of a card that you're asking people to invest in, and not to
mhm.
mention the fact that if Loki's out there, and we know Loki's one of the like top tier cards, then you kind of do need a Mobius
Yeah, right. I agree, and
as a kind
I
of
think I
counter.
like I like where he is now at 3/3. I mean, I still personally don't want to play Mobius. I don't. I don't really enjoy having Mobius in my deck, I guess. But I feel like it's like good that he's out there discouraging too much of the cost reduction. And then Loki's still the best deck, right?
Well, other than the Miss Marvel one you're going to show us.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how good the Ms. Marvel deck is. I'm kind of on the fence on it. But I had some so it's funny because I have Shadow King in the deck right now.
Spoiler alert.
But I didn't have Shadow King in the deck this morning. And I just got like destroyed by a Loki Wolf player, 10-0. And
Dang.
this is, this is anecdotal, obviously, right? Because that was just one match. But then I put Shadow King in, and then I beat a Loki deck, a Loki match 10-0. Um, so right now I'm really on a Shadow King kick after that
Well,
appearance.
Shadow King proves that ongoing power is the best power. As we've long said, as I've struggled to understand the differences between
Oh,
power, base power, real power, not unreal power, Valkyrie power, and ongoing power. Yeah, that's interesting. Another OTA thought that I had reading the notes and seeing the changes was this is like the Fed announcing a change in the interest rates. It's like, yep, we're in inflation here because they decided, the kind of card cost or card power inflation. They kind of moved the 10 up to like the gold standard here, right? She Hulk popped to
yeah.
10, Warhawk popped to 10, Jessica Jones popped to 9, the Monster popped to 10, and Shang-Chi popped to 10. So it's like 10 is like they've kind of moved that up as like a certain level of power. I think that kind of diminishes. Um, do 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 do. Got my list here. Thanos, because Thanos was a 10, but now everyone else is a 10. Like,
Oh,
so I wonder if they might have to like boost him back up a little, like a notch, like another point, 2 points. I'm not sure, but I think having Thanos on the same degree as the other tens is yet another slight in Thanos' direction.
yeah.
Do you care?
Yeah. I wonder how much difference. I just don't know how much difference it makes because like this is what they often say when they talk about like nerfing Thanos is that um Thanos isn't really the like people don't play Thanos that much. So they've buffed him in the past to try to get people to play him. I mean, people play when you're playing a Thanos deck, you actually don't play the card Thanos that much because your goal really is to play all the stones, and then like you're trying to draw cards and play all your other cards, and Thanos is just kind of like in there, but he's not the card that you really want to play. But yeah, with that in mind, I guess you're right. Like they don't, so people will want to play him even less now because he's just not as good as these other cards
Yeah,
that are
10.
10.
Exactly. So, any other thoughts on like the OTAs or other developments during the week before we,
No, not really. I guess it felt the OTA felt really big, but I haven't really noticed it having much effect at all. Honestly, maybe I'm seeing I think I'm seeing less Shang-Chi. Yeah, it seemed like Shang-Chi was like suddenly everywhere, and then the OTA happened, and now he's gone again. In fact, I had him in my Ms. Marvel deck for a while, and I was like, I don't need him. I don't. He's not really doing anything in this deck. Um, So that's kind of interesting. I don't know if it really the difference between 9 and 10 even really makes that much difference, but maybe it does.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess. I mean, we'll see how that plays out over time. It definitely. I mean, it definitely calibrates like which cards he's gonna be dangerous against or not. Now, like the tribunal, no. Um, or just, let's see. Yeah, I mean, we'll see, but definitely the kind of the power line is obviously now set to 10. That's for sure. So
Right. That is. It's hard to get used to that. I have to say. I keep forgetting. I have 9. 9 is just really
yeah, the Shang-Chi
ingrained in
9
my
is kind
brain.
of ingrained over. I mean, over the past couple of years, it's been 9, and now like, I think Shang-Chi actually kind of sets the bar in a way,
Mhm.
like where your big
Yeah, it's
ones
like
are
you
at
don't have to
risk.
worry about Ms. Marvel, Shang-Chi now, or not. I mean Captain Cap. All right, who am I America Chavez. You don't have to worry about Chavez, Shang-Chi, which is
That's
good.
true.
Interesting.
That's true. Um, so let's talk collection update. So we both added Ms. Marvel to our decks. I like Miss Marvel. I've also been playing Miss Marvel a lot, and we had our conversation last time about saving up for. I wanted to save up for Jean Grey, and you said that Eliath is definitely the better use of resources. And I cashed. I said, all right, let's do this. Um, Even though I had Null, but I did not have the Megasonic, who's a 3/2. Um, Actually, I realized I didn't have Megasonic, and I also realized that I kind of like Megasonic. When they changed it now, where it doesn't destroy the card itself, but it's like a mini Eliath almost in a way. You can kind of play it, once you've got a few things, once you kind of know which lane if you can anticipate which lane they want to play into, you can use that for devastating low cost effect. But anyways, I pulled Eliath in my first Spotlight Cash key and was very happy about that. And I've been playing a lot of Eliath in my deck. Last time you said you feel a little bit cheap playing and winning with Eliath on turn 6, but I gotta tell you, I love it. It's just it's just really satisfying knowing that I have priority on turn 6 and I know where they need to go and there's nothing that they can do to stop it and just kind of wiping their cards away. It's just
Fun. Yeah, he is a fun card. Um, so did you end up getting Negasonic then?
No, I stopped for one. I was debating, but I just kind of kept going. And
Yes.
also, the other nice little news is that in my collector's tokens card rotation, Iron Lad has popped up again. And so I've pinned the
Cool.
Lad, and I'm at like 5,300 tokens. So I will add Lad and Eliath to my deck to my card list this season.
That's awesome. Um, I want to take a quick look at the tier list. I'm just curious about um because you're I feel like you're getting close to just having every good card, right? So it's like you like started strategically opening uh like just like a couple months ago. You've gotten some really lucky. You've gotten really lucky on some where it's like that like you pulled like Nico out of that like fourth spot
Mm-hmm.
and like and same with Snowguard, I think, and like and you and then
Yep.
like yeah, you've gotten a lot of really good cards, and I feel like you're pretty much like if we look at this Marvel Snap Zone Series 5 tier list, like you've got everything in
I've
uh
got everything in 1 and 2 except for Iron Lad.
yeah, so once you have Iron Lad, you have everything in tiers 1 and 2, and
Damn, they're
then
putting Echo that high on tier 3.
it's really interesting. I don't so
I mean,
I've seen
I've been
Echo.
running Echo these days as like a Miss Marvel counter. Um,
Yeah,
but
she's really good against Miss Marvel in the middle lane. Just throw an Echo in there.
mhm.
I don't. have Echo. I have her pinned. I've been thinking about buying her, but I just feel like she's not worth 6,000 tokens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in tier three, you're missing Echo, Galactus, Silver Samurai, and
Uh,
Living Tribunal,
or maybe Hit Monkey.
and Hitmonkey.
Mm-hmm.
So you're missing a lot of those uh, the tier three cards. But I don't. Again, like I don't know if any of these really matter that much. Like I don't. I haven't played much Galactus at all recently. I've been playing some Silver Samurai. I think he's fun in discard.
Jean Grey getting shade down there. Howard the Duck?
Yeah,
What the
they
fuck?
just they have their own. Kang has his own section
Not
in the
even,
very
yeah.
top.
Off the
He's not
board.
even tier five. And they put Silkway on there at tier four now. Huh. Interesting. So that's okay. So yeah, but anyway, Iron Land's the clear like card you need. You almost have him, and then in Series Four, you have Darkhawk, Null, Modoc, Zabu.
I
I think
think
those are the main ones you need.
Man Thing, okay. I think other than Man Thing, I think I've got everyone there. Hmm.
Um, okay. Should we move on to the next topic?
Well, do you have any cards you're looking at?
Oh yeah. No, not really. I mean, yeah. As far as cards that are out right now, I think the main one that I'm missing is Echo, and I just again don't really feel like she's worth 6,000 tokens. But if I ever, I've got a big hoard of tokens, and I have 15 spotlight keys. So if I really wanted to play her, I could pick her up for the tokens.
Hmm.
Um, and then I'm probably gonna get Gladiator this week. Seems like he's gonna be
Yeah, I
good.
kind of like that one.
Yeah. So on reveal, add a card from your opponent's deck to their side of this location. That has less power. Destroy it.
That seems like a lot of fun to
Yeah,
me.
I mean, lately I've kind of just been like buying the new card out of boredom too. It's like I just want to try something new. Um,
Buying it through the Spotlight keys.
yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I guess me and Jean Grey against the world. I don't really care. If they could put her in whatever tier they want. She's my top tier wish list.
So you're picking her up on November 28th.
I guess so.
Might as well get Martyr and 2099 while you're at it.
I think I got 2099 actually somehow.
Um,
December looks to be fun. Um, yeah. So why don't I mean we look at this every week. So if there's something
I
exciting.
was
Oh, the
well.
the the miners
You
have
got
delivered. Okay.
you got Hitmonkey and Galactus coming in January. No,
Okay.
there's no no.
So
Um,
yeah, it looks like the Jean Grey one will be the last time that I have two of the cards that I don't have in there.
I like this Loki variant,
Uh huh.
January 23rd. It's uh it's the cover of the comic book Vote Loki, which I read recently. It's pretty good. Loki's running for president.
It seems right up his alley.
Yeah, that the series was published in 2016, and so there's a lot. It's like a lot of like references to like the Trump campaign. Interesting.
Okay. Would you recommend that one?
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
Awesome. All right. So, do you want
Um,
to do our special topic?
yeah.
All right. So, I'll lay this out, and then, as usual, Hoagies is going to bring us into it. So, player types or player personas. I guess this originally came from the Magic the Gathering head designer Mark Rosewater, and I guess he, after Magic the Gathering was doing some research or profiling, or I'm not sure the actual the procedure by which they reached these archetypes, but they were trying to understand not just what players enjoyed about the game, but like why they enjoy it. Like I guess their kind of psychology. They called it like the psychographic profiling, and they arrived at three profiles or archetypes for kind of why players enjoy playing the game. And so we're going to present those three types and also kind of think about which ones we might fall into or which characteristics apply to us. And you, audience, please go ahead and share in the chat with us which ones you think align with your playing style or which ones. Because, I mean, for me, I'm not sure I'm perfect for any of those. And so, do you want me to mention what the three were, or do you want to explain those?
I'm open. Do you want to give it a try?
I mean, so I guess I'll just say that they called them Timmy, Johnny, and Spike. And then in 2015, they realized that guys were not the only ones playing the game. So then it became Timmy, Tammy, Johnny, Jenny, and Spike slash Spoke. No, I don't know, but I don't love the
No,
name. I hate the
they said
names.
Spike is gender. They said Spike is gender neutral. Is a gender neutral
Uh,
name.
Have you ever? I don't agree with that. I,
I don't. That's yeah. I've never met a woman named Spike, but I guess I've never met a man named Spike either.
well, it's like a nickname. I think for a guy. I think I've heard Spike, but
And I think it's often a dog's name, right?
yeah. Um, so I don't love the names, but go ahead and tell us, which basically define those archetypes for us.
I'll, yeah, I don't necessarily have them memorized, so I'll give my best kind of like summary of them. So Timmy or Tammy is a player who really likes to play big cards, and it's generally a more casual players. They're more into like the like social aspect of the game. So it's like they want to play like big fun cards. They're really attracted to like just like big cards that are fun to play, big spells
Like
that are fun to play if you're playing Magic.
like a
Um,
fireball kind of thing.
I can't remember what
Like
Fireball is.
like it's like the like most derivative like do X damage. It's just like
Oh,
the
yeah,
original
okay.
do damage card.
Yes. Um, but that and uh, I think they don't necessarily like care about winning or losing as much, right? The it doesn't bother them as much. Like they're more about just like the social aspects, you know, playing their fun cards. More likely to want to play a multiplayer game. Like Snap only has two players. Um, but
So
yeah, so that
so what would that look like in Marvel Snap? What are what are the big boys in Marvel Snap like? Are you talking about like the Galactus
um,
or
let's
the
see.
Infonaut? I mean, those are plays where it's just like ooh, like if you can Galactus someone, that I feel like that's like an exciting play.
Yeah, I think Infinite is a really good one. Yeah, I wonder if Galactus in the Timmy category or the Johnny category. I think they're not, and it's these aren't perfect, right? They're I think it's a really helpful framework, but there's overlap, and it's yeah, so they're not perfect archetypes, and we don't know. Do players necessarily fit into just one of these, or is it more of like kind of a spectrum?
I th-
But
I think Galactus is like one of the all time like oh gotcha. like in terms of like thrill of kind of catching someone off guard, and then
Yeah,
just like basically holding the game in your hand theoretically.
right. Yeah, so you're right. I think it's probably more of the big card. So like so Timmy or wait, um Johnny. So
Or
Johnny
Jenny,
is
or Jenny,
combo.
Johnny
Johnny
Jenny.
or Jenny are combo players. They really like to they really like to yeah play combos or play a lot of like control type cards, control type decks, um, and they're creative. They really like to build creative decks, kind of like try to pull off the impossible. Um, they play more complex decks that require higher skill to play, and they're I think their goal really is to like demonstrate that they can build a really creative, complex deck with high skill level.
So this is kind of like a off meta type, someone that's like trying to not do the kind of standard play lines necessarily. Like maybe like an invisible woman, like a Tuma kind of thing.
Yeah,
That kind of like
yeah, I think
outside the box.
right, right. Um, yeah, and there's like subtypes within these. So like one subtype is like the diverse deck player. I think that's a
That's
Johnny
that's
Jenny subtype.
I think that's Jonathan and Jonathan. That's the
Um, and I guess like to me, like another thing I think of with Johnny, I mean Johnny and Jenny, I think of like playing like a blue control deck in Magic the Gathering, like decks that just like they're very complex. There's lots of like combos they're trying to pull off, um, and uh, and so like in Snap, I think of like Loki decks and bounce decks as being a Johnny Jenny because um they're just high skill level, they're very complex decks to play. So even though they are like top meta decks, I think they're still they kind of still fit in that Johnny Jenny category. So then the third category is Spike, whose main goal is to win. So they care most about winning, and then so they want to demonstrate that they're the best player. Um, and they I see Spikes as playing a lot of the top meta decks, doing a lot of net decking of top decks. Um, and so and I guess that's one kind of overlap is like decks that Johnny or Timmy might play could also be a spike deck if they're like a top meta deck. So for example, like Loki right now is like the best deck. So like Spike's gonna be playing Loki, but I think that Timmy also likes playing Loki because it's complex.
well. Timmy likes the big
Um
exciting plays.
Timmy does? Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm getting those.
That's
I
this is
get Timmy
why
and Johnny mixed
this
up.
is why I hate the names. They should not have used
The names
people's
are
names. They
terrible.
should just have given descriptors.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah, you want the names to
If
tell you more about what
if I
the person
could
like.
if we could play a king on this podcast right now, maybe we could go back and think of better
Yeah.
names than Timmy, Jimmy, Tammy, Tommy.
So, with all those archetypes in mind,
Okay.
do you have one that you particularly identify with?
Oh, and we played a king. And we're renaming those. Instead of Timmy Tammy, we're calling it the life of the party because they bring the fun and they're social. They don't. It's not about winning and losing. We're calling Johnny Jenny the mad scientist, the tinker in the lab, and the Spike we're going to call it in it to win it. They're very competitive. So your question was, do I think about aligning myself with any of those? I did think
That's
about this, and it's hard for me to. I felt like it's hard for me to fit in here because I'm not very good. You know, it's like and how much do I care about being good or winning? So it's like obviously I want to win. I don't like losing, and obviously I want to win every match if possible. I'm not trying. I'm not playing to lose, but maybe I'm not like going above and beyond trying to like understand some of the dynamics. Like I think you understand certain gameplay elements more deeply than I do. Like you understand maybe like which lane to play on or when to play a card or hold it in your hand. Which is why you can quickly climb your way up to infinite, no problem. But I still, I guess, I'm not really cognizant of that. So I don't know if I'm that much of an in it to win it. And also, before you like my net decking is usually through comes through your recommendations, or occasionally if I'm in a slump I might look at something. Maybe I'm more of like a casual mad scientist. I think I just like to kind of do figure out what it is that I like in a deck. And so like if there's certain cards that just like I think I'd like to have this one in here, then I just put it in there. Even if it's not necessarily like super effective. Like I think back to like some of my Lady Rod deck. It's kind of just like this doesn't work that well, but like yeah, I don't know. Where do you think you fall?
um, I think I after reading the article again this morning, I really identified with the to win it category. Um, there was a couple things that really stood out to me with it. Like there's a line in there about like how Spike in it to win it gets stimulation from outplaying their opponent, and the adrenaline rush of the competition. Like those are things that like I really like the that those are that's like my motivation. That's what's really fun to me is like playing that kind of chess match and like coming out on top. Um, and but I think that I don't think anyone's like necessarily just one of these. And because like one thing I do really like is playing a variety of decks, and that can kind of like be at odds with that style of caring a lot about winning. Like if your main goal is to win, you're just going to play the best deck. And I feel like that's where I've gotten stuck in some ruts before, where I'm not having as much fun because I'm not playing as much variety, because I'm too like in that like in it to win it mindset, and so it's like I really want to branch out and play more diversity. But I think that so the next category I identify with most, I think, is the Timmy life of the party, just like trying to have fun, right? Just trying to play like the big cards and have fun. Um, but then I don't know. I think there's like a middle ground in there too. I think like Johnny, the what do we call it? The Tinkerer,
The mad scientist.
the mad scientist. Johnny is maybe kind of a middle ground too, where it's like doesn't care as much about winning, but isn't just playing those big flashy cards. You're finding some more creative, fun ways to play. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's good to try to play as all the different players, but I probably identify most with in it to win it.
What I was trying to think through some of like which cards fit which archetype of player. Here it's like the life of the party. Also, the article mentioned the subcategories of these as well, and we'll put the link obviously is out there on the screen, but we'll include it in the notes. Also, griefers are included in the kind of life of the party or the big plays. And so I was thinking like Hobgoblin, Green Goblin, those are like ultimate griefer moves. Like the Living Tribunal, um, decks. That seems like a kind of life of the party move. Doc Ock, I feel like, is a griefer card. Just kind of playing
Wow,
spoiler on the other person's strategy. Do you any other
it's
thoughts
really
on like
interesting.
big cards or griefer cards that stand out to you?
Um, well, yeah, I guess I don't know what category to put all of these in for because I like um
Leech. There's another one that's I think a griefer card.
So okay, so the reason that but I wanted to read this article actually was because I was playing that your discard, your like long you had so you shared that this deck a couple weeks ago, your discard deck with Wong and Gambit and
and
Dawkin
and
and
Moon
it's
Knight
yeah
and
it's a really fun deck and yeah I think it is a griefer deck for sure, right? You're trying to like double Moon Knight and double
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 gambit.
Gambit and it is really fun. And but when I was playing it, I played a few games and it was fun, but then I would get frustrated when I lost. And then I was like, I don't think this is it's a fun deck, but I don't think it's my style. And then I was just thinking of like the different styles, and I had heard of these Magic the Gathering like archetypes, and so I wanted to learn more about that. And
So you're
yeah, and what I really realized though was that like I was like this deck just isn't optimized for winning. It's trying to do something else, right? It's like it's just like trying to kill as many of your opponent's creatures as possible. And the thing is like Wong is not a card that goes in it to win a deck. I don't think he's not a top Wong is not a top meta card. But he's fun and he's like a big play card. He's like a big combo card.
wait,
But he
but
doesn't win.
why is
He's
he
not.
not? Because he's too easily countered.
Yeah, he's too easy to counter. You just have to like get the pieces just right. And I mean, well, there's so many counters to Wong that like, I mean, it's really fun to play him when he goes off, but it's not really fun when he gets Cosmoed or Lady Deathstrike or Enchantress
Or rogued,
or Rogued or I mean, I
echoed.
think there's like two or three other counters to Wong. Um,
That's interesting. I feel like on one hand, you didn't play the deck enough to really understand how to play it. You just have to
it's true.
you have to throw away the first two turns, unless you get lucky. Or the first two turns are really you're not going to get much done, and that probably is why it's not a very winning deck in some ways. But it's a very like backloaded play for sure. Um, but I would say, okay, I think that's a very good point. I think that the big exciting plays, doing a Wong Modoc, like that's a big exciting play for me. You know, where you basically fill up your hand for turn 6 with like lips, and like you fill up your hand with swarms, and you just kind of like really power up your Morbius to high heaven. I just love that combination. Um, How about the mad scientist cards? Do you think I was thinking like maybe like a super scroll or like a leader kind of or what are some other kind of like off meta mad scientist combos or plays that you like?
Good question. I mean, I guess by definition, is it just kind of anything that's off meta? Um,
Like I mean
that's like
cards
almost
that you've
free
seen effective like in niche play. Like I remember back in the Kitty Shuri days, someone pulled like an invisible woman Killmonger, and like there was just someone that was just beating me around, like slapping me left and right with like a Juggernaut or a Stegron, and like they just pulled something I'd never really seen before, and I was just kind of like had to applaud that. Are there any cards that stand out to you like that?
good question. I think like if like I can think of some content creators that really stand out to me.
Hmm.
Um, that are really good at that, which are who are Paper is a really good one, and then Revis, Dara. I feel like they're always playing like different decks every day. So if you know anytime you tune into those guys, like you're not gonna see like a top meta deck. You're gonna see them trying out like a new card, a new style of deck. Revis is another one, and they're doing really well with them. So they're just like really good at creating new decks out of cards that most players think are bad. They're gonna take that deck or take that card that players think are bad and do something really fun with it. Um, so one example that comes to mind is what I was watching Paper one time, and he was playing with Snowguard before Snowguard was buffed, and so like a lot of people were thinking like Snowguard was the worst card in the game, and he was like taking Snowguard, and he was like explaining his thought process about how back then Snowguard's ability would change each turn. He's like, okay, so if I plan ahead, like I can use Snowguard's like cancel ability on turn 5, and so yeah, I don't know. I thought that was really interesting, and then I just noticed that like those guys are really good at doing that, and it's like really difficult for me. And maybe part of that is because it's just not my style. But it's like when I'm just trying to like cook with some like random cards, I get frustrated when I lose with them, and then I just like go back to my top meta decks.
Only the finest to the top.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, definitely I think you're more in it to win it than I am. I would say that. But I think in part it's net decking is wonderful. I copied some of the net decks that you provided, and I couldn't play them. Like I guess there was some nuance that I was missing, which it's like someone's able to wield the weapon better than the others. So, um, but
Oh yeah, that's really interesting because I was trying to think about like I think that the life of the party is more of the casual player, right? But that like is there and then like the in it to win it is more of the competitive player, and then our mad scientist is like kind of in the middle, maybe. But I feel like you still can be like kind of casual in any category, but it might just be a little bit harder.
yeah,
Right, it's hard to be casual and play the top meta decks because you need to like they require a certain skill level.
that's true. Or yeah, or be successful with them, right? Like maybe someone that has a lower skill level needs a little less complex deck or something. I mean, that's kind of where I ended up going. I kind of was like, I like the Loki Quinjet. Like that's just the advantage I can get by having cards that are 2 costs lower. That is just such a significant advantage, finding that advantage and then just working with that, as opposed to like the finer margins within the game that are there, obviously. But I mean, I think the overall overarching point is that everyone likes the game. That's why they're playing it, right? So like all the people that are playing it, they like it. And like, why do they like it? I think to me, it sounds like what itch is getting scratched. There's like the competitive itch, like, okay, I like that aspect of it, or I just like kind of figuring things out, um, or I just kind of like those big moves. If you're listeners, I love all of our listeners, and I encourage you. But if you are doing the Invisible Woman Hella deck, sorry, I got no love for you. You're a griefer. You're life of the party, your own party. You got me too many times. But um, yeah, we're gonna put into our chat, and please leave a comment and let us know which player types you align with the most. Any closing thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I guess it reminds me of like personality tests.
Like the Myers
Um
Briggs?
yeah, like Myers-Briggs, or like I've done this one a couple times for work called Strengths Finders, which I've always found pretty interesting and just helpful framework for understanding my own personality as well as understanding other people's personalities. And that's like you kind of like it helps you understand like different people have different communication styles, and it's neither one is right or wrong. I have my own style, someone else has their own style. We need to kind of understand what the other person's style is and meet in the middle somewhere when we're working together. And I think like this article I think is a helpful framework for understanding like different players have different things they enjoy out of the game, and when you're queuing up into a match, you're going to get a random player who might be playing a deck with cards that you don't like in it. You don't understand why they find them fun, but they have different reason, different approaches to the game, different things that they find fun, and like none of them are right or wrong.
The final thing we'll hit today is our deck discussion. And as Hoagies does near every week, brings a deck either of his own devise or one of those juicy, fresh off the vine meta decks that he's plucked from someone's vineyard. He brings it for us. I give my casual glance, and then we'll talk things out. So this deck is called Ms. Hawk. Where'd you get this deck from? Where'd you source it?
There's a creator named Prashant who I initially took his version of this. A lot of people are playing a Darkhawk Ms. Marvel decks right now, but I was using Prashant's version, and then I've done my own kind of tinkering with it. So it's not quite his exact version.
So it's like Ms. Hawk on a hoagie. What kind of hoagie do you want a Ms. Hawk? So I'll read the deck list. So you got Korg, Zabu, Jeff, Jeff the baby land shark. You've got Shadow King, Rogue, Rock Slide. I like that art. Dark Hawk. I like that art again. Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel, Iron Lad, Doom, and everyone's favorite dessert, Chavez. So my casual glance, obviously this is a Zabu Darkhawk type with the infusion of Ms. Marvel. You've got Zabu. And so Zabu, as we know, brings the four costers down to 3. So that means that you're looking to have a big 6 turn and drop probably a couple of the 4 cost cards on turn 6. And you've got tech cards, Rogue, for grabbing someone's annoying ongoing ability, like maybe an invisible woman or a counter, something like that. You've got Shadow King, as we touched on before, kind of levels the playing field against boosted cards, but does not touch your ongoing power boosted cards, which I'm getting the hang of here. The Korg and Rock Slide are like the peanut butter to Darkhawk's jelly. They got to have them in there. And it's, kind of like a little bit of a variety mix here. You love Jeff. I know that. Iron Lad, you're probably happy with any card that it copies. And the Doctor Doom I thought was kind of interesting in here. I'm curious what you have to say about that, if that's just kind of like bonus lane coverage. But yeah, I guess if you've got Zabu and you're trying to play multiple 4 cost cards on turn 6, I guess my curiosity. So this must be like a throwing priority deck. You want to play last on turn 6, would be my guess. My initial thought, and then if you're having a big turn 6, then what's your turn 5 play? Because you either have 6s or 4s that you want to play on turn 6. So, yeah, what's going on here? Read.
Yeah, a lot of good questions. And yeah, I think you nailed the analysis. But yeah, starting with Doctor Doom. Um, that was something I just noticed. Honestly, like the first couple of days that Ms. Marvel came out, I wasn't playing much Ms. Marvel, or I wasn't playing any Ms. Marvel. I was just kind of interested in Loki and trying to climb with Loki before I tested out Ms. Marvel, and I wasn't sure if she was going to be good or not. But I did notice that it was pretty effective to play Doctor Doom with Ms. Marvel because especially if you're not going to have any other 6 cost cards on the board, right? So Doctor Doom's going to add a 6 cost card to either lane, and that synergizes really well with Ms. Marvel. Ms. Marvel needs to have a card in the lane for her buff to work. So yeah, I think Doctor Doom go plays very well with Ms. Marvel. It's a really good card. I just love Doctor Doom too. It's always been one of my favorite cards. Um, so happy to have a deck where I can play him effectively. Um, and so when you're thinking about like the turn strategy, um, so I've played a lot of Darkhawk the past few months. Um, I think Darkhawk was like one of the best decks in the game like 2 months ago, and I was playing a lot of him then. But what I really noticed was like when I'm playing Darkhawk Zabu, like I really want to have at least I really like having two other 2-cost cards in the deck that I can play on turn 5. So that on turn 5, if I'm getting a card discounted by Zabu, right, that'll cost 3, I want to have a 2-cost. I want to have a good chance of having a 2-cost card that I can play along with that. So that's where Shadow King and Jeff are my 2-cost cards. So that's a good turn 5 is to play like Captain Marvel and Jeff. Um, Oftentimes want to save Ms. Marvel and Darkhawk for turn 6 because there's a lot of tech cards going around. So I don't want them to get rogued or Enchantress um, or Shang-Chi'd. Um, So trying to save those for a big turn 6, like you said, but then Doctor Doom is another turn 6 option, and I do, yeah, I feel like this deck does have, it often has options just depending on what your opponent's doing. So you might have that Doctor Doom play on turn 6, or you might be doing something else just depending on what's going on with your opponent. Um, Rogue is really good for the current meta. I think it's you're gonna have a lot of mirror matches, so I think Rogue can be really good against the mirror to steal your opponent's Ms. Marvel, steal your opponent's Darkhawk. Um, I don't know. I feel like there's some other cards that Rogue is pretty good with recently. Like, I mean, I guess if you're playing against discard, Rogue can steal Morbius. If you're playing against destroy, it's a little harder to get the null. But if you can get the null, it's a really good play. I had like so you brought up playing for priority. I haven't really been thinking that much about priority with this deck, but that is a really good point. Like with Rogue and Shadow King, if you're playing them on 6, you want to be throwing priority. Not necessarily all the time, but yeah, back to Shadow King against Loki. Like that's the main reason I have Shadow King in this deck. I had Black Widow. I was playing a lot with Black Widow in it, and she's another buff to Darkhawk because she prevents a draw.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I felt like it was unnecessary to have 3 Darkhawk cards, and I really wanted Shadow King just because I was losing to Loki, with so Shadow King is really good against the Loki deck because Loki's got the Collector in it, Elsa, and Werewolf by Night. This a lot of good targets for Shadow King.
Hmm. How have you seen Iron Lad playing out in this deck here?
I think Ireland's really good in any like Zabu deck usually. 'Cause, the main cards you're trying to copy are Darkhawk and Doctor Doom in this one. Um, and so
Well, how do
and so
you
you
how
kind
do
of want to
you
like
how do you target what you want to copy? I mean, obviously, if you don't have it in your
it,
hand, you have a higher probability. But like,
yeah, right. It's just that's the only strategy really with that, I think, is you noticing whether it's in your hand or not. Um,
okay, that's a strategy I can probably accomplish. No guarantees.
um, yeah, and so I mean it's just like so on turn 6, if in turn 6 if you haven't seen Doom and Darkhawk, then there's a really good chance that Iron Land's going to pull one of those. So that's good.
Hmm.
Otherwise, playing him earlier, it's it's a lower probability to hit the card you're looking for, but when it does happen, then it's like you basically win the game.
What what substitutes would you put in here if somebody wasn't collection complete and didn't have? I mean, like let's say Iron Lad is maybe more rare to get. If you didn't have an Iron Lad in there, what? Or if
Um,
you didn't have like a Shadow King or a Doctor Doom or something, what would you sub that with?
yeah, good question. I probably just look at a lot of the forecasts. Um,
I mean, Iron Lad is just kind
Yeah,
of like helpful to have. It's like a helpful to have, like a Jeff, right? Jeff is just good.
yeah.
Don't never hurts you, but like is good in like is better in certain situations than others potentially. Iron Lad is just kind of like it's additive. You'll just get another thing you want for the most part. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I probably look at tech cards. I mean, this deck is very flexible. It's a very flexible shell. Like that's you often see a lot of tech cards in Darkhawk decks because there a lot of tech cards cost 4, so you get a discount on them. So if I didn't, if you don't have Iron Lad, I might look at Enchantress, like because there are a lot of ongoing decks out there right now. So we do already have the Rogue in here for ongoing, but you can always double up on that. And Enchantress is good because she's 5 power, and it's a really good like turn 6 play, especially like if they snap and that they think that they've got the game won with like a Dark Hawk and whatever other ongoings they have, and you play Enchantress. I think I won 8 cubes on by playing Enchantress on a Dark Hawk Ms. Marvel lane, and just wiping out like their whole board
so
basically. Um,
that's
Shang
why
Chi is another.
I like Echo because that's like I could play that on turn one and accomplish. I
Oh
can
yeah,
do something like kind of obstruct their use of ongoing in that lane without having to do that
right,
much.
right. Echo really pulls a lot of weight against this deck in particular because it's not. I was like thinking for some reason that Echo is only happens once, like Negasonic Teenage Warhead, but she happens as many times as you play a card in that lane. Um, I think Captain Marvel's a flex spot. Captain Marvel can be changed out for another 4 cost. Um, one question I'm often asking is like, how many 4 costs do you need in a Zabu deck? And I think you could go down to as little as 2 4 costs, but
Really
I usually want to have three.
doesn't.
I usually want to have somewhere between like 3 and 5.
I mean,
I've got
that's
4.
it's kind of like ideally on turn six you can play two of them, right? So the odds of you. So I don't know what else you're putting in there then, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that there's like two. I think there's two big benefits to Zabu. It's like you want to try to play a 4 cost on turn 3. So you're playing a 4 cost early, and then trying to play 2 on 6, maybe a 3 and or maybe a 2 and a 4 on 5. Um,
hmm. Yeah, these
I
days.
actually, I,
Yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
I was gonna say I really like uh I mean, I do like Black Widow. Black Widow's a good 2 cost to add in if you don't have Shadow King. I actually really like Silk in this deck. I just think Silk pairs really well with Captain Marvel, just because like you don't have to worry about where Silk's going because Captain Marvel will go to wherever she's needed at the end. Um,
Interesting.
there's probably some other 4 costs that I'm missing that could be good in here. What's her name? With Jessica Jones was just buffed. She's a 4 cost.
Yeah, that's true.
Did so okay, I just saw that Marvel Snap Zone had like created this Google sheet of where they're like I don't fully understand all the analysis that they've done in this Google sheet, but I saw that they have a win rate column, and I was just curious to sort by the win rate. And I saw Ms. Marvel is number 1 for win rate right now,
Look at number
apparently.
two.
60. Yeah, I know. And then I was like, what the hell is
I haven't
Namor
seen
doing
Namor,
number 2? No. Yeah, I don't know if that's just
but
because
maybe that's like a good lane filler. Like you just put it in one of the lanes with the Ms. Marvel boost.
yeah, now that you know what, I think the main reason that Namor is there at the top is because only new players play Namor. So like they're playing against other new players. So he's winning a lot in that meta of like players who like only have like series 1 cards.
Wait,
And
oh wait,
maybe that's the case
like
with
the
Ms.
meta
Marvel too.
position? Is that wait? How do you know that it's new players?
Just intuitively, people who have better cards don't play Namor.
Well,
People who
it's a
have only
four
have.
it's a 411. I mean, like, what if you were doing like, uh, you've got your Namor, you've got your Miss Marvel, and then you like run a Spectrum. Then like you only need a couple cards to get some like mega lane work.
Try it. Give it a try. Give it a try and report back next week how well it does. I guess my counterpoint is that he's like, so okay, so Spectrum. If you Spectrum a Namor, you get 13 power. Like, how often is that winning you a lane?
Well, with Miss Marvel though,
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. I can see it.
so I mean, you only
Okay,
need to
now,
invest one
now,
card there, and then you're basically 16 with just the two of those.
yeah, you've got me interested now.
I'll report
That's
back.
great.
I'll do my homework this time. Let you. That seems exactly my kind of speed. Yeah. I'll take him by surprise. What's Namor doing here? And then
Yeah, I
as they
feel like
green goblin me.
there's some good Namor variants. I do really like the movie Wakanda Forever. Did you see that one?
No.
I was I was it's really good.
Wakanda forever.
Yeah, that might be in like my top five Marvel movies.
Really?
Yeah, I liked it better than Black Panther one.
Okay. That's a bold take.
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
But you enjoy you enjoy what Marvel produces for the most part.
Hmm.
Yeah, like you're
I
not
do.
too critical of their work.
Right, right. I come into it with certain expectations, So yeah, I'm not very critical. Um,
I see what you're saying. Like not the highest of expectations necessarily.
right, right. I know what I'm getting into, and it's like a low investment too because like because I already like I'm already invested in the world, in the universe. So like it's like I don't need to really like get to know the characters, right? It's just like easy to get into.
Well, actually, speaking of the Marvel, the MCU, the Miss Marvel run is also once again lining up with the next output of like MCU content. They had the Marvels film, which I don't know
Yeah,
when that's released, but of course, that Marvel Snap is doing their share. In
it
kind
came
of
out on Friday or Thursday.
okay. I haven't heard any
Right
reviews
on.
about it, but
Yeah, I haven't
for
heard too much
someone with
about it.
with tempered expectations like yourself, you probably would enjoy it.
Yeah, I think so. I think and yeah, with that one, I'm like my expectations are a little lower than normal, I guess. Although, I mean, I really liked I really liked Captain Marvel, and then I enjoyed Ms. Marvel. Um,
And you
yeah, I
enjoyed
know
Loki
like
season
Samuel L.
two.
Jackson. Oh yeah, Loki season two is really good. Did you did you like Loki season one?
Loved it.
Like it's as good as Loki season one. I know, and you just got like pissed about like a scene in the first episode, and then you like
Multiple scenes in
you're
the
just
first
like you're
episode.
like fuck this.
The whole first episode, I would say, turned me off.
Okay, all right,
Maybe
fair
you
enough.
know what with your recommend. I've been reading about it, and it seems like in the last few episodes, they like maybe the second half, they've really done some interesting things. So maybe I'll give it another shot.
I think
The next time I'm
it's
sick and I'm
not for
stuck in
everyone.
bed and I'm looking for something just to chew up the clock time, I'll put it on.
Yeah, I recommend it, but not. I understand. Not everything I like is for everyone.
True that. All right. Well, anything else on the that snap tier list on the deck on life. Any other thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Well, then thanks for having the conversation with me, and thanks to our audience. We know you're out there. We see you. We appreciate you. Leave us some comments or feedback in the chat. Email us at snapchapspod@gmail.com, and we will see you in our next episode. Have fun out there. All you Jimmies, Timmies, Tommies, Spikes, Tammies, and Jennies.